Welcome to the Delvin Cox Experience, the podcast in which each week I'm on a one-man mission to unite our culture through diversity. I'm your host, Delvin Cox, and with me on the podcast today is somebody you may know as the Art of Bacon. But you will know this man today as Eric Green. What's up, Eric?
Nothing much, Delvin. How about yourself?
Everything good, man. Everything good. As always, we like to start the podcast off with the 5 for 5. 5 questions, 5 answers to get the ball rolling. Eric, are you ready?
I'm about as ready as I'll ever be. Let's get this thing rolling.
Okay, question number 1. What's the best album you listened to in the past year?
That's probably hard. I haven't really had a whole lot of time to be listening to some music lately. Got them twins, so let's see here.
It's a tough one when you think about it, though.
Yes, it is. Like I'm a rocker at heart, so now, does this thing have to be new, or can this be just an oldie but a goodie?
Oldie but a goodie works for me.
Well, I have several, but I think I got to go with Seven Dust, and the album is titled "Cold Day Memory." It's an old one. I think it released back in 2012. I even have a tattoo from some of the artwork on the CD when it came out, and I've been.
Where's the tattoo? You gotta show it. You gotta show it.
Right there. It's a ceramic broken heart.
That's cool.
And it is based on the song Unraveling, which was the first single off of the album. Okay. And the song itself helped me get through a lot of tough times. I was younger, but, had some relationship problems, and, just music in general helps me get through, a lot of things. Not so much now because it's not really needed, because my kids drive me crazy. But that one is a special album to me, and I think it will be always. And just they're about to release a new album sometime in May, and so I've just kind of been going back through the old catalog, and that one always comes back up.
Okay, what's the name of the group again? Because I've never heard of their music, but I want to definitely listen to it now because I like everything.
They're called Seven Dust.
Seven Dust, and the song is?
The song is called Unraveling, and the album Cold Day Memory.
Okay,
and also, just to be sure, their new album is going to be called All I See Is War, out May 11th.
Okay.
So you should definitely check that one out too.
Okay, I'll definitely check it out. Okay, question number 2. What's your favorite all-time TV show?
This one. Honestly, goes back to about 20 years ago, and I've got on this new kick of going back and watching it. I gotta say, Dragon Ball Z.
That's a good choice. Do you watch Super?
I'm trying to go through it. I didn't pick it up when it started airing on Cartoon Network. But now that I finally got some DirecTV going on around here, I've been watching it on Cartoon Network on Saturdays. I think it airs like 10:30. And so I think they're like up to episode 56. And in Japan, they just ended it on episode 131. So I'm not a big fan of the subtitled ones. So, I try not to watch those, but, I got a good ways to go before they start dubbing the rest of them.
Yeah, I'm a dub fan myself. I can't watch subtitles. If I wanted to read, I'd read a book.
Exactly.
That's my whole point of it.
I don't read a whole lot either. I'm just like, I want to watch it. I don't want to read it. I'll buy a book.
Question number 3, and this is everybody's favorite question. Dumbest thing you've ever done as a kid?
Probably, see, I was on a little class trip down at this little camp we have down here in North Carolina called Camp Living Water. For some odd reason, I was throwing a pool ball. And this facility was pretty big, so, probably like 20, 30 feet. And I was just throwing it back and forth, hitting the cement bricks. And for some reason, it ended up hitting and breaking a window.
Oh,
That one, I can't really tell you why I did it, but it happened.
well, we're kids. We always do a lot of dumb things.
Yeah, but there was a lot of kids in there throwing a pool ball. Probably, I know it could hurt somebody.
Yeah, probably. All right, nobody got hurt, so that's fine. Question number 4, which is the opposite of the question I just asked you. What's the smartest thing you've done as an adult?
Get a job and keep a job.
Well, that's pretty smart when you say the least.
Yeah, I'm in finance, so been at that job for a little over a year now. But I've worked retail for the past 10, 12 years, and it's finally it's nice to have a job where I work in a school system, so I always have my weekends off, and I have holidays off. If it snows, here in Western North Carolina, if it snows, everything closes down. So if school closes down, I don't have to work, and I still get paid for it, which is nice.
Doesn't get no better than that, man.
No, it does not.
Okay, final question for the 5 for 5. If you had the DeLorean from Back to the Future, you can go back in time and change anything you want to change, what would it be?
I'd probably go back and tell my young self not to sell any of my Super Nintendo stuff. Man, I had some good stuff. Me and my brother had a Super Nintendo, and we had all kinds of games. And we had gotten one of the original Earthbound cartridges with the guide and the big old box. And to think if we had any fortitude to keep that stuff, like that stuff would have been worth at least $1,000, and not to mention all the other stuff we had for the Super Nintendo as well. Same thing goes for all the Nintendo Entertainment System stuff we had.
But it's crazy to think about it, because when you're growing up, you don't think about those things, and 2, you kind of trade in your systems to get the new one.
Yeah, because we poor people down here in the South.
Yeah, exactly. That was the whole come up. You're like, okay, I want this new system, but I can't afford it, so I'm gonna take the old one in. That's why, as much flack as EB and GameStop get, you got to kind of be appreciative to it, because without that system, a lot of young cats wouldn't be able to get a game system. We'd have been stuck with Nintendo, like NES.
And growing up, I never even knew what a Master System was. I didn't even realize there was a Master System until, I was at least in my 18, 19 years old before that happened. And I realized that they had something before the Genesis.
I have a funny story about that. Me and my cousin, I always end up getting my system for Christmas. But my grandmother always, because my cousin stayed with my grandmother at the time, she would always, for some reason, we'd go to flea markets, and she'd find older systems at the flea markets and buy them for cheap prices. So we got a Sega Genesis for real cheap when it was still popular. We bought a Sega Genesis for like $50 at a flea market. And we bought a Sega Master System for like $10 a couple weeks later. So we actually got to play Sega Master System as well. And this was all during the time where these systems were still relevant. Well, it's not the Master System. Nobody cared about the Master System, but the Sega Genesis was still relevant. But because we got it in the flea market and people didn't know really what it was, we got it for like $50.
Yeah, I remember, I got my Sega Genesis secondhand too from a family member that was just selling it, and I think we got like Sonic and Samurai Showdown and maybe a few others, and that was my introduction to the Sega Genesis. And same thing with the PlayStation. We got our PlayStation at Babbage's before they were GameStop, and we bought ours used. So I think the first thing I bought was Grand Theft Auto, not knowing what it was, and real fishing. We played a lot of fishing back then.
You bought real fishing, and you live in North Carolina?
Real fishing.
You actually have real fishing out there.
Yeah, we do. But I even have like a lifetime license to hunt and fish. I don't know. I just don't do it. I'm a homebody. I like to stay home. I don't like to go out to it so often.
I'm very similar to you. So, what was it like growing up since we done got into it? What is it like growing up in North Carolina?
Well, we got snow every now and then. And, back in '93, we had that big old blizzard. And, that was something like where I was little at the time. So when I went outside, the snow was just as high, just as tall as I was. And, that's one thing I remember because you weren't going nowhere, at least until it got somewhat, back to normal, power out for, a week or so at a time. We live up here in the mountains, so it's like right next to the Tennessee border, so we have a theme park just across the state line in Tennessee at Pigeon Forge called Dollywood. So, we'd go there all,
Dollywood. That's Dolly Parton?
Exactly.
I didn't know that still was around.
Yeah, it's still booming. They've the park is nothing compared to what it was when I was a little boy. It's bigger than ever. They have shows. Speaking of this, the whole podcasting thing. It kind of got into it from listening to Married to the Games. Then I think they've actually got a show where Toby Mac's coming over here. And cool. Gabe. He's a big portion of why I wanted to get started with this, because I got to go to shows and meet him and meet Toby, and so that's
let's get into that, because you're on here today because you're planning on starting a podcast, which I think is cool.
Yeah, eventually, I've got my equipment and might get a little bit extra stuff along the way. But, I kind of want to cut my teeth in on some other stuff before I, really dive deep into getting my own. So
I'm going to give you the best advice I can ever give you in terms of podcasting. Something that I wish somebody would have told me when I first wanted to start podcasting. Just do it. Point blank. Don't necessarily worry about what you have, in a sense, because you're going to make mistakes. And your first episode is going to be crappy. Let's just get out of the way right now. Your first episode, you're going to look back after you do 20, 30 episodes, you're like, wow, this episode was terrible. But once you cut your teeth into it and you really start getting going with it, you're going to start learning from that. And the only way you can do it is if you start it. Just get into that rhythm. You don't worry about necessarily what you have. It's cool to look up certain things and find out, okay, what I need like that. But you just got to just jump into it head first. Honestly speaking, you got to just jump into it, make the mistakes, learn from the mistakes and things like that. Because if you sit there, and this is a mistake I used to make when I was thinking about doing a podcast before I even started this podcast. I would constantly question, do I have the right equipment? Do I need to do this? Or I might need to buy this. I might need to do that. And each week I would do that. I wasn't podcasting. I wasn't learning. And I had to make the decision, if I'm going to do this, I need to do this. And it's kind of crazy to say that, but you got to kind of jump in head first. And that's the best advice you could possibly get, brother. Just jump in and just start doing it. Because every week you sit there and not do it, it's a chance that you might not ever get to it, because you're never going to be perfect with it. I'm telling you straight up now. Even now, me being doing this for almost 2 years now, it's still things I learn every day.
Yeah, that's right now I'm kind of going through and figuring out what I need to do to record and get it into that file format to where we can get it uploaded and stuff. And so I'm still researching and learning and making sure I know what I need to do to get started. Other than that, I'm really thinking about what kind of podcast I'm going to do. And I think I think I've got that settled on kind of what kind of topic. So I'm going to do a kind of a pop culture podcast with um, kind of like a major with gaming. So probably I'm going to try and cover music and movies and maybe stay a little bit within the news, what's going on currently. But at the end of the day, it's going to be a video game podcast.
Okay.
That's I don't have the time to play all these games that I've got. I'll keep buying them and buying them and buying them, and it's so easy to with this digital age we are in now, just buy it. You say buy one, that's cheap. You buy this, you buy that, and you buy another one. And by the time you have time to play anything, you're like, what am I going to play? Got 20 different games that I just bought, and I still haven't even played a single one of them.
Well, you can't call your podcast games you don't play because that's all you take.
Yeah, that's the plan to try and get on there with Chalfie pretty soon. So
that's my buddy.
Hopefully you'll be hearing that.
Yeah, he listens to every episode. That's my guy. Me and Chalfie are tight. That's my guy. He just has terrible taste in movies. Terrible taste in films.
What's he into? We're like, what's his main go-to series?
I don't even know. He told me he doesn't like Bad Boys 1 or 2. He doesn't like Samuel L. Jackson. He doesn't like Bruce Willis. I'm just like,
that's a shame.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, Snakes on a Plane, that was bad. Yeah. But Bruce Willis, like Die Hard 2, Die Hard with a Vengeance. Okay, what's next? Live Free or Die Hard. Good Day to Die Hard. And then I think
that's it. But they just make 1,000 names for it.
As long as he doesn't say Justice League is better than Marvel, I think.
Oh, don't get me started on that.
I heard that, or somebody said that. I was like, that's just not factual.
Yeah, somebody. If you want to ever get me pissed off on Twitter, that's the thing to say. Say that Justice League or Batman vs Superman is better than any Captain America movie. You're gonna get me angry immediately.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I mean, Marvel's got that. They have that plan out, and it's just there's no stopping that train.
So you excited for Infinity War?
Oh yeah, it's like I don't even think I saw the first 2 Avengers films in theaters for some odd reason, but like this one I can't miss because I think this one's probably going to be the most important movie out of these group of films since the very first one, which I think was like Iron Man, because a lot of these heroes are probably going to die in this one.
Yeah, they kind of said it. Who was that? Don Cheadle, I think, said in an interview that some people are dying. He straight up said it, and I think somebody else said that some heroes are dying.
I mean, I think for the health of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, some people are going to have to die. Because like we have so many different characters, and it's getting almost as bad as this is actually kind of worse than Spider-Man 3 if you think about it. Spider-Man 3 had let's see what Sandman, Venom, and let's see here,
Goblin.
Yeah, so and that just ended up being terrible, but somehow they're making it work, but it is getting a little much to watch in a single film. And that's probably going to be probably the most thing that we're going to have to look at in this next film is because there's so many characters that are they've had movies, but how much screen time is each one of them going to get in this movie?
So, question: did you see Black Panther?
Yes, I actually saw that opening night on Thursday. I think it was like the very first showing. I really liked it. It was, action scenes were really good. And honestly, I think the best part of that movie was, being able to see each side, um, you know, as understandable. Like you understand why uh, Eric Kilgore is the way he is. That he was left,
Yeah.
and you also understand, the way. Crap, I forgot
T'Challa.
T'Challa. Yeah, like you understand his view, but you also understand Eric Killmonger's view, and it's of course you have to go with the good, uh, but you understand why he's mad and why he has um,
His
you know
viewpoint.
exactly, and why he deserves to at least have a chance at having the throne for himself.
I find it interesting, and it's going to be amazing. The fact that Marvel put out this monumental movie that is Black Panther that's broken all kind of records. It's crazy. That's kind of brought a whole new fan base that they didn't even know they had into the Marvel. And now that movie's kind of starting to wind down, but even though it's still number one on the box office. But now you're going to lead into Avengers, which is literally going to dominate the box office which is even crazier to think about it. It's going to probably dominate the box office till Deadpool, which even though it's a Fox film, it's still a Marvel film, comes out. And then Deadpool is going to dominate the box office till Han Solo comes out, which is a Disney film.
Yeah, I think the only thing that I didn't particularly like about Black Panther is how it really. I thought it was going to lead into Infinity War just a little bit more than it did. Spoilers at the end, the ending credit scene. All you saw was where they had picked up Bucky and nursed him back to health, and that was it. Was hoping for something a little bit more, but maybe they were saving that for the movie when it comes out.
You know what I find interesting about what you just said? Black Panther didn't lead into Infinity War, which is weird. But Thor Ragnarok does lead into Infinity War. Literally leads right into Infinity War. Did you see Thor Ragnarok, by the way?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I finally saw it maybe a couple weeks ago, and I thought that one was little, and it was enjoyable. I thought that was probably one of the funniest out of the Marvel Cinematic Universe films. But yeah, I figured if any of them was going to lead into Infinity War, it would have been Black Panther.
Yeah, so it's weird how they did that. Spoiler for Thor Ragnarok ending. And you can look up this online by now because you just Google this. At the end, after the end credits, for those who don't know, Asgard is destroyed. So Thor and all the people of Asgard is looking for their own planet. Like I said, I already said spoilers. They're looking for a new planet. They're going to Earth. And Thanos' ship pops up. So he literally is running into Thanos. So I'm assuming that's going to be the beginning of Infinity War right there.
See, have they didn't lead into any of the Guardians of the Galaxy in that film yet, did they?
In Ragnarok?
Yes.
No, but there was I don't know if you saw this, but it was a trailer, not a trailer, but a scene they had like at one of the Disney events, they showed a scene from Infinity War that happens right after that scene with that's at the end of Thor Ragnarok. And it's where Thor meets the Guardians of the Galaxy.
I'm thinking that's probably how that film is going to actually begin. That seems like the best way to open it up.
Yeah, pretty much. Because how would you not begin it? Because which Avengers movie was it? I think it had to be Avengers 2.
Age of
Ultron, where he's like, when Thanos gets up, like, I'll do it myself.
Yeah, I think that's the first thing that really led into, what's going to happen here.
Yes.
And, it's hard to, we've only got like 1 month left till this thing comes out. So,
yeah,
I'm just like, ugh. So I'm really excited for this one.
Everybody should be caught up by now. Bottom line, it's literally less than a month.
Yeah, I think Donnie's been watching all of these movies like consecutively, trying to get caught up, and I'm like, you've had several years to do this.
Yes, it's been quite some time. It's been literally over 10 years.
Yeah, I think, let's see, Iron Man was the first one, and it came out in, it was 2007 or 2008, I think, was the start of this just Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I think Iron Man was probably a good way to start out with this. And it's hard to believe it's been over 10 years since this started.
To say the least. It's crazy to think that it's been that long that it's been going, and it hasn't slowed down. You haven't even really had missteps. You've had movies where people are like, this is just okay. But you never really you don't really have a bad Marvel movie.
Well, I mean, if you really think about it, I'd have to say the worst one was, let's see, I think Thor: The Dark World was probably the worst one for me personally.
Yeah, that's what most people generally say. They generally say Thor: The Dark World and I want to say Iron Man 2.
Iron Man 2 was definitely nowhere near as good as I had expected it to be. But the Thor, I don't even really think I actually made it all the way through Thor: The Dark World, without being interrupted or anything. In today's world where we have these cell phones, if you pull out your phone, it's so easy to miss, all these little details and stuff. And that's one thing I want to get used to more is being able to put down my phone when I'm trying to watch a movie. That's why I like to go to the movie theater, because once I get in that movie theater and the movie starts, I just put it on vibrate or even turn it off, and I just like to enjoy the movie.
I agree. I'm the same way. So, what are you gaming on? What game systems you like? What are you playing right now?
Let's see. Well, right now, I have a Xbox One S and I have a Nintendo Switch. Let's see. I don't really do a whole lot of PC gaming. I've got some games on there, but I'm mainly a console gamer. That's what I grew up doing, and about the biggest time I ever really got into PC gaming was I believe Diablo 2. And I spent a lot of time doing that, but other than that, it's been mainly console. And I haven't had a whole lot of time to play much of any of the new stuff, but I think Nintendo's where it's at right now.
So, are you excited for the upcoming? No, since you got a Switch and you got an Xbox, I'm excited for their upcoming lineups, because Xbox, while it's kind of shrouded in mystery of what's coming up, I think some really cool stuff is going to come up at Xbox real soon.
Yeah, I think like the next big thing is either State of Decay or Crackdown 3. So I'm probably looking more forward to State of Decay 2 than I am Crackdown. But the thing is that I've got so much older stuff to play that I'm trying not to buy anything new. However, yesterday I did go and buy Monster Hunter Worlds for the Xbox One.
How do you like it?
See, I've got like maybe 20 minutes into it, so haven't really got to fight anything yet, but I think that one's going to be a really good one. It's crazy to think that Capcom has been doing this for 30 plus years, and just now Monster Hunter Worlds is their best-selling game ever out of like the past 30 years, which is insane to say.
Yeah, they said that, but their comment about it is a little bit suspect, because it's like they kind of like, I don't know how they said it, because a couple people said that kind of is not exactly accurate.
Yeah, I think what it is some people are saying like Street Fighter 2 has been released so many times. That one is probably their best-selling title ever.
Street Fighter 2, Resident Evil 4. There's a couple other ones like that that's been
Yeah,
released over and over again.
yeah. I would have think that it would have been like a Resident Evil title. That would have been one of the top that they've had. Um, uh, yeah, I had to buy that one, but had to buy Monster Hunter because it was like such a good deal. Best Buy was running a sale on it for $45, and with Gamers Club Unlocked, it was like $36. It's like, yeah, I can't pass that up, so I went ahead and bought it.
It's a good deal. That's a really good deal. So, how did you get into the Married to the Games podcast?
Well, let's see. It was long time ago. I think they had followed me on Twitter initially.
Gabe.
And yes, I'm
Same way
thinking
you
it
got me.
was probably 2013, I'm thinking, was when they initially followed me. And I just started listening to that. I think they were, probably 70 or 80 episodes in at that particular point in time. And I just listened and really liked what they were doing. And, eventually I just went all the way through the old episodes and, until I got current. And, I've listened to every episode since inception. And, we're talking, with 300 coming up, that's a lot of time to put into a podcast, even listening to it, So that's where it starts. And, over the years, had the opportunity to go to Toby Mac shows and meet Gabe and hang out with him and, just get some one-on-one time with him. And, it's become more of like a family thing where, it's not just a podcast, it's friends and family and games. And, it's just something that's just not about, not all about the games, it's family.
And it's crazy to look at it like that, but it's true because they've been around so long and the community's big now. When I first saw this, it was nowhere near this big. And it's amazing to see what they've created become what it is.
Yeah, because when I was, finally getting out of college and stuff, and, I hung out with people, but, nowadays, most of my time is spent, on Twitter with all these people that I've met from, this forum and, listening to this podcast. And, people would submit questions and, I ended up following, this person and that person, people like Donnie and Gabe and Chris and Ed and Tim. And, with Donnie, he does play some video games. And I think the Stapletons, Spencer and Josh, Josh does his little YouTube channel with his son, and Spencer does Fortress of Nerditude. So I follow these guys and, I talk to them on Twitter all the time. And, I talk to these people more than, all the people that I grew up with and went to high school with, which is insane.
Yeah.
But it's true.
All from that one community, and all of them have podcasts now. Like you said, Spencer, Josh, PSVG's huge now. They got so many podcasts. It's not even funny. Then even Chalfie, even me and Chalfie, we've all come from this community one way or another. And all of our one connective tissue is Married to the Games. It's crazy to think about it, but that's what it is.
And to me, that's where it's come from. And, that's really just how I spend the majority of my time when I'm not with my family or, taking my little girls out and stuff like that. So, I may not have time to play the games, but, I guess
you're active in the community.
I experience them vicariously through other people's opinions.
So now that you mentioned your girls, what is it like? You got twins, right?
Yeah, 2 3-year-old like? Little girls, and it was such a shock. I think initially when I got the news, it just kind of, because I was working at Walmart at the time. I come home on break, and they showed me the picture, and it had twins on it. So I just kind of stood there and sat for about 30 minutes, and then went back to work. I don't think I said a word. But now they're here. They were preemies too, so they were born like
Small.
yeah, they were born 12 weeks early, like literally 3 months early. So they stayed in the NICU for almost 3 months, and when we finally got to bring them home, and it's hard to believe that they're 3 years old, and they're as big as they are and healthy as they are, and as bad off as it seemed like it started, they're the way they are, and it's definitely a life-changing experience, and it's all for the better. One of my oldest is Ava, and two minutes later, we had Kyrie.
Are they identical twins, or are they fraternal twins?
Identical. I mean, like, they are like. I usually just yell "girls," when I'm mad at them, because I can't tell which one's which.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how do you tell them apart?
Sometimes I don't, and that's the truth.
I think that it gets better. It gets easier when they get older because they start developing their own personalities.
Yeah, one's like their mama, one's like me. So that it's strange how that happens.
But yeah, that's crazy, man. That's awesome though to have twins.
Yeah, we were, debating on having another, but I think we're good with the two we got now. Because it's like, when we were feeding them, nobody gets a break. Someone's got a baby, the other's got to feed the other one. So there's no passing one off, to one another, and you get to do what you get to do what you want to do, pass the baby off, and then they get to do what they want to do. Nope, that didn't happen.
It's a blessing, to say the least, man. Kids are definitely a blessing, and little girls, they love their daddy. So be prepared for that, because I have a daughter. She is attached to the hip, literally.
Yeah, and I think that's why I gravitate, so close to Married to the Games, and I know all these other people that I've met through that podcast, and that's why it's so special to me. Is because it helped me grow, as a father and as a husband, and, and even as a gamer.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. So we got to come up with a name for your podcast. What's the name? Don't.
I have no idea right now.
Let's not say it on the podcast. I don't want anybody to steal your name, but it has to have something to do with bacon.
Bacon.
How did you even come up with the name, The Art of Bacon?
Honestly, I don't know. I just I was listening to Married to the Games one day, and somehow Gabe took a crack at my handle, and I was like, yeah, it probably is. So I decided to make a change, and I was like, you know what? I like bacon. I like art, and I just thought, bacon is art in itself, and that kind of works. So
what was your Twitter handle? We gotta ask. What was your Twitter?
It was awful. It was just my initials and my old zip code. That was it. I had no creativity when I was making that initially, so I was like, I'm gonna make a change.
Well, my Twitter handle is my name. So that's not really creative at all. It's just literally my name.
I tried that. It was taken.
Oh, man. So you got any ideas for what you're going to do for your podcast? Any co-host ideas? Anybody you plan on bringing on with you?
Well, I've definitely got to reach out first and see. But, I kind of want to get a good ground about what it's going to be. But probably going to be something like a monthly podcast, maybe a bi-weekly. Just it's hard to fit something in, once a week and with my schedule right now. But just I'm gonna start out, take it slow and do. I'm thinking the once a month thing will be good for a little while, and then we'll just go from there. But definitely like a pop culture video game podcast is my goal here.
That sounds good, man. That sounds good. I can't wait till you get it started so we can have you back on to talk about it.
Yeah, I think I got quite a bit of planning to do, but I got to figure out how to record this thing first.
Okay, so let's put out, since you said that, let's put the call out to everybody who's listening to this podcast. If anybody wants to help Eric start getting ideas on how to record the podcast and names for the podcast, tweet at him at the Art of Bacon. It's Art of Bacon, right?
Yeah, I think it's capital T, capital A, and capital B, and the rest is all lowercase.
So make sure you guys send up messages on how to start a podcast, and just message them, like let them know that you're here to help them out, because starting a podcast isn't necessarily easy. It's time consuming for the most part. So any ideas or things you can help him with, he would greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, I think I've got a lot to learn, but like YouTube is like an actual tool these days, so like you can learn anything on there.
Definitely. Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Let's see. I think, in closing, I think that this world could just use a little bit more Boys to Men.
Amen to that, brother. Coach Mo and Dev would definitely agree with that one.
Oh man, I grew up on that stuff.
I love Boys to Men. One of my favorite R&B groups of all time, which is crazy to say because I hardly talk about them.
I'll tell you a funny story. When I was, I think I was like 10 or 11, and I got my hands on my first cartridge of Zelda Ocarina of Time. And I had just recently gotten a Discman, and I got a copy of Boyz II Men Evolution.
Great album.
And like I associate Zelda with that album, and it's strange, just a little white kid listening to Boyz II Men, playing some Zelda, and I just put that on repeat and just played that thing till I finally beat it. It took me 3 months to beat that game initially.
Hey, I can't be mad at that at all. I love Boys, man. Motown Philly, End of the Road, Down on Bended Knee.
That was a little bit before, like when I finally got into them. But when Evolution came out, and got my copy, and I think I actually still have 2 copies of that, and I also have it on iTunes too. So.
Definitely. All right, man. Definitely. Thank you for coming on the podcast, man.
Well, I appreciate it. You having me on here.
We gotta have you back on soon, especially when you start up your podcast with your co-host, whoever that may be eventually.
Yeah, I'll definitely need to figure all that out, and I've got a lot of planning to do, but hopefully I'll have something within the next couple of weeks.
Awesome. And as always, everybody, Devil Cock Spirits, we are out. Peace.